My wife got fit and decided I wasn't good enough. She filed for divorce. And immediately regretted it. Hey everyone. Before we dive into today's video, I could really use your help. Our channel's been losing a bit of steam, and subscribing would be a huge support. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep coming at you with great content. We really appreciate it. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks a ton. Alright, let's get into it. What's up, everyone? It's Dave here. Get ready because things got pretty crazy in my life recently. I'm 34, just your typical warehouse manager from Columbus. My life was nothing fancy but pretty stable. I had a solid job, a nice home, and was married to Carla. We'd been together for 5 years, married for the last 3, and I thought things were going well. We weren't that lovey-dovey couple from TV, but we made it work. Bills were paid, we had our date nights, and the usual arguments that come with marriage, or so I thought. Then, about 6 months ago, Carla kicked off this big fitness journey out of nowhere. I was all for it. She joined a fancy downtown gym that basically looked like a spa, got a personal trainer named Justin, and started talking about meal prep, macros, and detox plans. I was cool with it, even pitched in to help. I took on more chores like dishes, laundry, and groceries, just so she could have more time to hit the gym. I thought I was being supportive, you know? Everyone deserves to feel great about themselves. But then things started to change, and not in a good way. With every pound Carla lost, her ego seemed to inflate. She became all about her reflection, spending ages in front of the mirror perfecting her sporty outfits or getting that perfect Instagram pic. She wasn't just in it for herself, she wanted an audience. I remember suggesting we watch a movie together on a Friday night, thinking we could kick back like we used to. She rolled her eyes and said, "Dave, I can't just sit around. I've got goals to crush." I mean, what goals? She wasn't training for a marathon or scaling Everest, just lifting weights and drinking green smoothies. But I let it go, thinking maybe I was being unreasonable. Then came the morning that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was half asleep, sipping on my coffee, while Carla chugged her usual kale spinach disaster smoothie. Out of the blue, she says, "I deserve more in life." Still half groggy, I was like, huh? More of what? She put her smoothie down, looked at me dead serious, and said, "This marriage is holding me back, Dave. I'm filing for divorce." I honestly thought she was joking. I even laughed. But she wasn't laughing. Her face was stone cold. "I've outgrown this," she said, like I was an old piece of furniture she was ready to toss. "You wouldn't understand." I was sitting there, blindsided. My wife, this woman I'd spent years with, dropped this bomb on me like it was nothing. I tried to wrap my head around her words, but all I felt was shock and anger boiling up. "What do you mean you've outgrown this?" "Outgrown what?" She sighed as if I was a kid asking too many questions. "Dave, I've been working on myself, trying to be the best version of me. And frankly, this life doesn't match my potential anymore. I want more than this house, this routine, this you." Her words hit hard. She didn't even try to soften the blow. I was part of the problem in her eyes. The life we'd built wasn't cutting it for her anymore. She grabbed her gym bag, left without a goodbye, and I was left staring at her half-finished green sludge, wondering what the hell just happened. Work that day was a blur. I went through the motions, but my mind was fixated on Carla. Was this actually real? Was she really leaving me? We'd had our fair share of arguments, but divorce felt so sudden, so planned. And the way she said it, like she'd rehearsed this for weeks, made it clear she had her mind made up. In the days that followed, the cracks in our marriage became glaringly obvious. She barely spoke to me unless it was about dividing up the house or setting up mediation. She'd stay out late, saying she was at the gym or with friends, always glued to her phone. Her Instagram was buzzing with selfies and captions boasting her new chapter and living my best life. Each post felt like a slap in the face, reminding me she'd mentally checked out, even if the papers weren't signed yet. One night, as I scrolled through social media, I noticed she'd erased every picture of us. Wedding photos, anniversary posts, all gone. It was like I'd been erased from her life. Meanwhile, her new posts kept getting likes and comments from people hyping her up. "You're glowing. Such an inspiration." It made me nauseous. None of these people knew the real Carla or what she was putting me through. Another night, while getting ready for work, I overheard her on the phone in that sugary voice she used when she wanted something. "Yeah, I just feel so free now," she said. "I'm finally doing what makes me happy." Then she giggled, "He doesn't even get it. He's stuck in the past." That's when it hit me. Carla wasn't just leaving me, she was reinventing herself, and I was the anchor she was cutting loose. But here's the thing, I'm not the kind of guy to just roll over and give up. So get this, Carla thought she'd just steamroll over me and do whatever she wanted. She had another thing coming. This was just the start, and if she wanted a showdown, she was gonna get it. But wait, there's more. I'm chilling, grabbing lunch at a cafe near work, just scrolling through my phone, when I overhear these two guys next to me. They're chatting about some fitness girl they found online. I wasn't too interested until they dropped the name, Carla. My heart sank right then. They were laughing and talking about how she's got some premium stuff she's promoting. I thought, no way, not Carla. But then one of them pulls up her Instagram, and yup, it's her. Turns out she's been teasing an OnlyFans account with her links saying stuff like, for the real workouts. My blood was boiling at this point. It wasn't just a fitness thing. She was turning into an online sensation, and not in the way you'd want. When I got home, I confronted her. She was just lounging on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing was up. Carla, I said, trying not to lose it. What's this OnlyFans stuff I'm hearing about? She looks up, totally unbothered. It's my body, Dave. My choice, and it's none of your business anymore. I couldn't believe her attitude. None of my business? We're still married. You're selling yourself online while I'm here trying to keep our lives together. She just rolled her eyes at me like I was some dinosaur who didn't get it. It's not selling myself. It's content creation. Loads of people do it. Besides, you're not the one paying my bills anymore. That's when it hit me. Carla didn't just want out of our marriage, she wanted a whole new life where she's the star and I'm just a guy in the background. She wasn't embarrassed, not even close, she actually seemed proud, like she'd finally found her calling as some kind of online diva. In the weeks that followed, things got wild. She started dressing like she was auditioning for a reality show, tight dresses, towering heels, makeup piled on like cake. Every time she left the house, it looked like she was off to some red carpet event, even if she was just headed to the grocery store. And her social media posts got even crazier. Living my truth, no more holding back. One that made me want to chuck my phone out the window was, she's not a wife anymore. She's a force of nature. The nerve. While Carla was out playing superstar, I was stuck dealing with all the fallout, lawyers, paperwork, the whole deal. But she wasn't as untouchable as she thought. My lawyer, Steve, absolute legend, by the way, did some digging. Turns out she's been seeing someone. A gold digger, but with a gym membership. Bet you can guess who. Stay tuned, folks, things are about to get messy. I'll keep you updated. Hey Reddit, it's Dave again, your favorite soon-to-be divorced dude with a front row seat to my ex's drama-filled glow-up disaster. If you've been following along, you know my wife, Carla, decided she was too good for this life, ditched me, and started strutting around like she's some fitness celeb. But let's talk about the guy who's been fueling this circus, Justin. Yep, her personal trainer. Real original, right? The second I heard his name, I knew this wasn't just some innocent workout buddy deal. Justin's the kind of dude you'd see on a reality dating show. All muscles, spray tan, and not much else going on upstairs. He's all charm and smirks like he jumped straight out of a bad rom-com. Carla didn't keep their thing under wraps either. One day she waltzed into the house after her workout, practically glowing. Justin says I'm the strongest I've ever been, she bragged, not even glancing my way. Yeah, Carla, I'm sure Justin also told you he's never trained anyone like you before, 'cause that's what he does. A few weeks later, she stopped pretending it was just workouts. She started dropping his name in casual chats. Justin's taking me to this new vegan restaurant, or Justin says this protein powder is life-changing. Meanwhile, I'm standing there thinking, do I look like I care? But Carla wasn't just name-dropping. She was flaunting him like he was some prize. Word got around fast. Friends texted me about seeing Carla and Justin all over the place, holding hands, laughing, acting like they were some Instagram couple of the year. Carla didn't even try to hide it. One night, she came home and said, as bold as ever, just so you know, Justin and I are dating now. I think it's time you accept that. Oh, I accepted it all right. I accepted that my wife had turned into this full-blown caricature of entitlement. She'd already mentally checked out of our marriage, so why not add a public affair to the mix? The more I found out about Justin, the more angry I got. He wasn't just some gym bro. This guy had a past. My lawyer, Steve, seriously deserves a medal, dug up some dirt. Justin had done this before. Twice, actually. He'd find a married woman, shower her with compliments and validation, and get her to leave her husband. Then, once things calmed down and the money stopped coming in, he'd disappear like a magician. Justin's basically a professional homewrecker. It wasn't love, it was a hustle. He gave these women a false sense of invincibility and rode their wave until it didn't suit him anymore. And Carla? She was the perfect target. Always craving attention and validation like she needed it to live. Justin had her wrapped around his finger, and she didn't even realize it. The worst part was how cocky he was about it. I heard through mutual connections that Justin was already talking about their big plans. He apparently told someone, once the divorce is finalized, Carla and I are going to build an empire. An empire? Dude, you're a trainer, not running a tech company. But sure, dream big. Justin wasn't just banking on Carla's money. He was banking. So, Carla was trying to take me for everything I had, half my savings, spousal support, and even the house. She thought she could just strut into court, act like the victim, and walk out with a golden ticket for her and Justin's new life. But she didn't know my lawyer had all the dirt, and I wasn't about to just give up. Let me give you the lowdown on Carla and Justin as a couple. Picture a dude who lives in tank tops next to a woman who suddenly thinks she's a Kardashian. They were flooding social media with pics in front of fancy cars, definitely not theirs, and checking in at expensive restaurants. I'm pretty sure Carla was paying the bill. It was like they were shouting, "Check us out, we're living large." But anyone with half a brain could tell they were just trying too hard. Their relationship was far from perfect. Justin's big personality started clashing with Carla's growing diva attitude. One night, I overheard her arguing on the phone. I caught a bit where she said something like, "I don't care what your exes said, Justin. I'm with you now, and I deserve better." That was a sign their little fantasy was falling apart. As much as it annoyed me, it was kind of amusing watching Carla put everything on Justin, thinking he was her ticket to a dream life. It was only a matter of time before everything collapsed, and my lawyer and I were making sure of that. After mediation, Carla's confidence took a huge hit. She walked in all high and mighty and walked out looking like she'd just seen a ghost. It was priceless. Justin didn't even try to comfort her, he just sulked behind her, messing around on his phone. That was my first hint their empire wasn't all it seemed. Let me backtrack a bit. Mediation was a disaster for Carla. She thought a few tears would get her the house, half my savings, and spousal support. Her lawyer painted her as the poor, underappreciated wife who sacrificed everything for my not-so-great dreams. I've been busting my butt at a warehouse job for years, so mediocre isn't exactly fair. But my lawyer, Steve, came prepared with spreadsheets, screenshots, and credit card statements. Carla had been draining our shared bank account for months on spa days, designer clothes, and fancy dinners. Meanwhile, I was eating leftovers and wondering where we went wrong. Then we unearthed Justin's shady past, like his affairs and his habit of wooing married women. Steve even found messages from one of Justin's exes warning Carla about him. But, of course, Carla thought she was the exception. Justin's cocky smile disappeared fast, he looked super uncomfortable. Carla tried to defend him, but the judge wasn't buying it. By the end, it was obvious Carla wasn't getting the fortune she thought she'd snag. Justin looked like he was already plotting his next move. After all this, Carla started acting weird. She wasn't as smug, and her Instagram posts got desperate, more like, "Growth is hard, but it's worth it." Yeah, right, Carla. Justin was showing his true colors, barely around and missing from their usual outings. Rumor had it he was already hitting on another woman, one without Carla's baggage. Carla came home late one night looking totally drained. I was still legally stuck living there, so I just watched as she flopped her designer bag on the counter and sighed, wanting me to ask what was up. I wasn't playing that game, so I just went to my room. The next morning, she tried to act all normal, making her kale smoothie, but the smugness was gone. She hinted at Justin being busy, but I didn't take the bait. Then the real drama started. Steve called, saying Carla filed more paperwork trying to claim extra cash, blaming me for her midlife crisis. Unreal, right? But Steve, being awesome, had it all figured out. He countered, showing how she had drained our accounts and manipulated the situation. Even used her Instagram posts as evidence of her living it up at my expense. Around then, Justin vanished. He stopped showing up to their workouts, quit answering her calls, and even blocked her on Instagram. Yup, blocked. Carla was losing it, pacing and calling him nonstop. Hearing her beg was strangely satisfying. Eventually, one of her friends spilled the beans that Justin had already moved on. So, the guy Carla was head over heels for, Justin, decided it was time to bounce. He found himself a new client, someone younger, more exciting, and, most crucially, not dealing with a messy divorce. Carla was shattered. She tried acting like everything was cool, posting these cryptic quotes like, "People aren't always who they seem, and you can't build an empire with someone who's just playing games." Everyone knew what was up, though. Her supposed Mr. Perfect had bailed as soon as things got rough. That's when Carla's sense of entitlement started to crumble. She quit going to the gym, ditched her glamorous outfits for sweatpants and messy buns, and even took a break from posting on Instagram. Seriously, that was a shocker. It was like her whole identity was wrapped up in Justin and the dream life she imagined with him. Without that, she was lost. One evening, she came to talk to me. "Dave," she said, standing awkwardly in the doorway. "I think we need to rethink everything. This divorce has been really tough on both of us." I looked at her, expecting a punchline. What was she getting at? She sighed deeply, acting like she was the victim. "I just think maybe we rushed into all of this. We had some good times, didn't we?" I nearly laughed. "Carla, you filed for divorce. You said I was holding you back. Remember? Now that Justin's out of the picture, you're having second thoughts. Unbelievable." She tried playing the sympathy card, talking about how lonely she was and how much she'd given up for our marriage. But I wasn't buying it. "Carla," I said, cutting her off. "You made your bed, now you have to lie in it." Her little fantasy world was falling apart, and I didn't have to do a thing. Karma was handling it all. That's it for now, Reddit. Stay tuned for the final court decision, you won't want to miss it. Update time. Hey Reddit, it's Dave again. You've stuck with me this long, so get ready for the grand finale of this whole mess. If you've been keeping up, you know Carla, my ex-wife, thought she could strut into court, take everything, and start a brand new life with Justin, her personal trainer. But karma had other plans, and now we're nearing the end. Let me fill you in on the courtroom drama and why Carla probably wishes she hadn't stepped foot in there. Court day finally came. Carla walked in, but it wasn't that usual diva strut I'd grown accustomed to. No designer blazer, no smug grin, just her and her lawyer, looking as confident as kids heading to detention. She must have sensed things weren't going her way, the vibe was all wrong. And honestly, I enjoyed every second of it. On my side, there I was with Steve, my lawyer. He was prepared, carrying a binder so thick it could have held a door open. By now, I wasn't nervous. I had nothing to lose. Carla had taken every shot she could, and I was still standing. Today was about not just surviving but winning. Her lawyer kicked things off with her emotional compensation claim, trying to paint Carla as this long-suffering wife who'd been emotionally drained by my lack of support. They argued that my refusal to back her fitness journey, code for her affair with Justin, was a form of neglect. Steve, my lawyer, let them talk on, digging their own hole. Then it was our turn. Steve systematically tore their argument apart. He showed evidence that I had been nothing but supportive, even going above and beyond during her so-called fitness phase. He pulled out proof of me taking over chores, adjusting my work schedule, and encouraging her goals. He even read text messages where I offered to make her healthy meals, backed her gym sessions, and suggested couples fitness classes to strengthen our relationship. Then Steve dropped the bombshell. Carla's emotional compensation claim wasn't just weak, it was a blatant attempt to hide her own emotional negligence. He presented emails and texts where Carla mocked me to her friends, calling me boring and dead weight, and bragged about Justin, referring to me as her backup plan. But here's the kicker, Steve addressed the financial side of Carla's claim, revealing our bank statements that showed how she funneled thousands from our joint account to finance her luxurious lifestyle. Carla's lawyer tried to push back, but Steve wasn't finished. He revealed a journal entry subpoenaed from Carla, where she wrote about her grand plan to leave me, squeeze every penny out of the marriage, and use the settlement to fund her new life with Justin. The judge's face when he read that was pure disbelief. The courtroom was silent as the judge flipped through the papers, each page deepening his stern expression. Carla sat next to her lawyer, visibly tense, drumming her polished nails nervously against the table. Her confidence from the mediation sessions had completely vanished. Across from her, I sat with Steve, feeling a mix of anticipation and satisfaction. This was it, the moment Carla's narrative would unravel. The judge began addressing Carla's emotional compensation claim. "Mrs. Patterson," he said, steady yet firm. "Your request lacks any substantive evidence." After letting that sink in, he continued, explaining that while emotional distress can be valid, it needs to be backed by clear and demonstrable proof. Her claims were based on feelings, not facts. He then turned to Steve's counterarguments, recapping the texts, bank statements, and Instagram posts that showed a completely different picture than what Carla and her lawyer tried to paint. He finally addressed me, "Mr. Patterson, you've shown a clear pattern of support for your wife during your marriage. The evidence doesn't indicate emotional neglect. In fact, it shows the opposite. You went out of your way to support her needs and aspirations. Carla's lawyer tried to jump in, fumbling over an objection that the evidence was taken out of context. The judge shut him down with a wave. The context is clear, counselor. Let's move on. Next up, the judge tackled the money stuff. He carefully looked over the evidence Steve had shown. Mrs. Patterson, the judge said, and you could feel the temperature drop. You took out over $23,000 from your joint accounts before filing for divorce. This money wasn't spent on home stuff or shared expenses. Nope, it went on luxury items, fancy dinners, and personal splurges. The court says that was irresponsible and against your financial duties in the marriage. Carla shifted in her seat, turning bright red. Her lawyer tried to brush off the spending, saying it was her way of coping during tough times. The judge wasn't buying it. Coping doesn't excuse financial recklessness, he said sharply. Then came the house issue. Carla had been pretty sure she deserved half of it, saying she helped emotionally, if not financially. Steve was ready for this argument. He had proof showing he paid the mortgage, did maintenance, and even handled renovations, while Carla didn't chip in a dime. The judge was blunt. The house stays with Mr. Patterson, he declared. Mrs. Patterson, you have no financial claim based on the evidence. Carla's jaw dropped. Her lawyer whispered to her, but she waved him off, too stunned to say anything. The judge wasn't done. Also, he continued, Mrs. Patterson must pay Mr. Patterson $23,750 for the unauthorized use of their funds. You could hear a pin drop. Carla's lawyer slumped in his chair, clearly defeated. Carla looked like she'd had the wind knocked out of her. Her carefully crafted story had fallen apart, leaving her with nothing but the fallout. The judge closed his folder, saying, "This court is adjourned." I leaned back, feeling a wave of relief. Justice was served, and for the first time in ages, I could breathe. Leaving the courtroom, the tension was thick. Carla's lawyer was already packing up, avoiding eye contact. Carla trailed behind, head down. She'd walked in like a reality TV star but now looked totally defeated. Steve patted me on the back as we left. "We did it," he said with a small smile. I nodded, grateful for his defense and for exposing the truth. As I left the courthouse, I glanced back at Carla, still standing there, staring at the floor. For a moment, I felt a hint of pity, but it quickly faded. She had set this mess in motion and was now facing the consequences. In the following days, Carla had to leave the house within 30 days, and I made sure that happened. She tried to delay, saying she needed time, but I didn't budge. I reminded her she'd had plenty of time to sort things out while flaunting her affair with Justin. Reluctantly, she packed and left. Watching her go was strangely satisfying. She loaded her designer bags into an old car a friend had lent her and drove off without a goodbye. Suddenly, the house felt peaceful, free of tension. Carla's finances quickly tanked. Without access to my income or the shared funds she'd been draining, she had to fend for herself. She tried selling some designer clothes and bags, but it wasn't enough to cover the debt she owed me. Word spread that she was borrowing money from friends who were getting tired of her sob stories. As for Justin, he disappeared, ignoring her calls and messages. About 2 weeks after the ruling, Carla showed up at the house, looking a mess with tangled hair and tired eyes. "Dave," she said softly, her voice cracking. "Can we talk?" I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. "What do you want, Carla?" She hesitated, wringing her hands. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. I made big mistakes. I let Justin manipulate me. I got caught up in a fantasy and ruined everything." Her words felt rehearsed, but the desperation in her eyes was clear. She wasn't there out of genuine remorse, she had nowhere else to turn. "I don't know what you expect me to say," I replied, calm but firm. "You made your choices. You chose Justin. You tried to take everything from me. Now you're dealing with the consequences." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Can't we be civil? Maybe start over?" "I have nothing, Dave. I'm lost." I stared at her, feeling nothing but resolve. "Carla, I gave you everything. My support, trust, love, and you threw it all away. You don't get a second chance. That's not how this works." She broke down, sobbing, but I didn't flinch. After a moment, I stepped back inside, leaving her with her regrets. Since then, I've moved on. I've heard that Carla's still struggling, having burned bridges and lost friends. She's facing the consequences of her choices. Sometimes karma doesn't just knock, it kicks the door down. And for Carla, it left her with nothing but the fallout of her actions.